fuck am I watching right now? Hello and welcome back to the True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
All right, well, we're back from a little hiatus. And also last week we had an episode posted on Patreon. It wasn't a normal episode of True Crime. It was a little different. Michael had a special Higher Thoughts episode for y'all after the passing of his dog. Once again, rest in peace. And
yes, old Monroe, my older German Shepherd, passed last week, and it was on recording day. On recording day, I found him, and I apologize for that, guys, but I could just I couldn't get on the mic.
That's rough. How could you get into the mindset of talking murder when you're dealing with the grief of just finding your dog? You know. So,
exactly.
But great Higher Thoughts episode. A lot of reminiscing about old
Monroe. Yeah, Andy joined me on there, and we talked about. I know Andy has an older lab as well, just like you, Lauren. You know, and they're both special dogs. So I know you guys understand, the loss and whatnot. Most people do.
We don't know how much more time we have with Maddie. She's getting up there. She'll be 12 this year. That's pretty old for a lab, and we'll see. She's got lumps all over her body that don't seem to bother her, and I don't really want to prod and poke on them. And she's had them for years, and it's just like, hey, if she's happy and she's not in pain, and just let her do her thing. So we'll see.
I read a statistic that said that over 50% of dogs die from cancer now.
That's crazy.
Isn't that insane?
The food or what? Like this cheap dog food that we give them? Or?
It's got to be. It's got to be the cheap dog food.
If we just fed them like raw meat, I bet they'd live way longer.
Yeah, if you fed them raw meat and rice or something like that, just supplemented, just farm-raised chicken or whatnot. But I mean, God, most people can't afford to eat that, much less feed it to their dogs.
Seriously.
That's what's some bullshit. If you're feeding your dog honestly, any dog food, even Blue Buffalo and shit, they're just getting the scraps. It's expensive, but they're also, it still can't be that top quality, as far as, these plants that they're making this food in, they're also making cheap food in too. Like, don't get it twisted.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to find something.
Onward and upward. We're back in action, and we got a hell of a case this week.
Yeah. A popular one, but
yeah, it's popular. It's been around, but you're going to hear our take on it, and it's one of those that's just kind of dumbfounding when you hear the details of this story. You're just like, this was so unnecessary. But
I know. It's heartbreaking.
In the eyes of a narcissist and a sociopath, it is necessary. I don't know. He just seems like the type that was going to kill eventually anyway. But when you hear why he did it and the circumstances, you're just like, really? Like, did you really need to do that? It's just frustrating.
There's a lot of pressure.
2 lives for what?
There's a lot of pressure on up and coming people in the Hollywood area. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess,
true.
And you have to keep a certain life stature, a certain lifestyle, and that's what this guy was trying to do.
Yeah, he probably would have ended up making a great actor. I mean, you almost have to be a sociopath to be a really great actor.
It sems that way, doesn't it?
You have to be able to disconnect.
It seems that way, doesn't it? I mean, because think about it. If you're playing a role for so long, I mean, eventually a little bit of that role becomes part of you, at least for a little while, right? I mean, you hear of like all these method actors and stuff, and people are like, oh, they're crazy. They do this. It's like, well, are they? That seems like the most logical way to do it. Is to just, it seems like it would be harder to
embody the character.
Yeah, it seems like it would be more difficult to bounce back and forth between who you really are and this character you're playing back and forth on set, off a set. It seems like it would be easier just do like the Jim Carrey method or whoever and just be that character all the time.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes.
He comes to mind, yeah.
Oh, my God. What an amazing... Andy Kaufman. Remember Andy Kaufman?
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the guy from Batman, Christian Bale, when he did The Machinist. He got down to like 100 pounds. He was skin and bones.
Ooh.
He completely did that just for that character.
You have to give it up to Jared Leto as well. He goes through some crazy body transformations for characters as well.
Oh, man. Dallas Buyers Club?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Right?
Yeah, speaking of weight loss and everything else. Yeah.
Oh, man. Thing. He looked downright sickly.
Also, his partner in that film as well, McConaughey, lost a ton of weight and really fully went into that role. That was, man, that's such a good movie.
That's dedication.
But anyways, we're going down the rabbit hole. This isn't just the banter. We got an episode to cover here.
Right.
So let's dive into it.
All right, man.
Okay, what's going on, sir?
There's a body in my son's apartment.
There's a what?
A body, a dead body.
A dead body? Are you sure, sir?
I can think it's cool, man, I'm sure.
Okay.
Jesus, she's cold.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Is it someone that you know, sir?
I have no idea who she is. God, I don't know what's going on.
Does your son know who it is?
He's not here. Jesus, honey.
Okay. Do you know where your son is?
No, I don't. I don't. His phone's off.
Okay. Just keep breathing for me, sir, okay? Where in the apartment is she?
She's in the bedroom. There's been some sexual activity. She's dead. There's blood from her head. I thought she was to see if she was cold.
There was blood from her head?
Yeah. Honey, I don't know what to say.
Okay, just stay in there, okay?
I fear Jesus.
It is, but is it clear it is?
Hello?
I'm still here, sir. I'm not going to hang up, okay? Until there's someone there with you. Is anybody else in the apartment besides you?
Oh, no.
No one else is in there?
Yeah, here's somebody there. Okay. Who are you?
Sir, who are you talking to now?
Pick up, please. Just go. Just go. I'm trying to find all day. Jake, I'm telling you. Just go. You're not here. Just go. But I don't know. Just go. Just go. I got the cops. Go.
Who is that you're talking to?
One of his friends.
One of your son's friends? Has Jake talked to your son today?
No. I don't need you on the line, okay? I don't need you on the line. I'm good.
All right, for our case this week, it's funny that we were just talking about actors and whatnot because this case we're kind of diving into three main characters. You're gonna have to learn three main characters of this, and we're gonna start with a guy named Samuel Herr, who was born on May 29th, 1983, in Los Angeles, California, and shares a birthday with quite a group here: JFK, Bob Hope, and Carmelo Anthony.
Oh wow, yeah, quite a crew.
Quite a group. Yep,
absolutely. Who's your favorite from the group?
I don't know much about Bob Hope, to be honest. That was well before our time.
Yeah, me either.
Not a big basketball guy, so I guess I'll go with JFK.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like JFK. I like what he stood for. I kind of, it's like, you hear all these theories about what would happen if he was still alive and whatnot. But you have to get up to Carmelo Anthony, too, man. Still in the league. Still kicking it. Like,
is he still playing?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
What a damn career, dude. Like, he's already a Hall of Famer, and he just like, I just like basketball.
Hey. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he still looks great. He's still kicking it out there.
If they'll pay you to play and you can still do it, then why not?
Right? Like Adrian Peterson, man.
Right.
Just get 1 season contracts. Just keep jamming.
Right. So Sam was an only child born to Steve and Raquel Herr. And although he was loved very much by his parents, his teen years had still been a struggle. That's not uncommon.
Typical.
At some point, he got in with the wrong crowd and drifted away from his parents and had some issues with the law. We'll talk a lot more about a specific issue with the law that was pretty sketchy, actually.
Yeah, it was.
He learned from his mistakes, though, and as a young man, he joined the military, which straightened him out. Very common story here. The military gave him confidence, maturity, and purpose, much like it had for his father, Steve, who had been a Marine. So his father had been kind of pushing him, like, as he was fucking up as a teenager, to like, hey, join the military. It'll give you purpose and everything else. And so he served with the Army's 173rd Airborne and had been in Afghanistan and Germany and saw some action over there. That also plays into this story later. He had been attending Orange Coast College on his GI Bill with the goal of graduating and re-enlisting in the Army as an officer when this story takes place.
Wow, so he was wanting to go back into the military.
Yeah.
Right on. That's one way to do it. Go get yourself a little bit of education, and then you can rank up real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, that he seems to be motivated because, like, most people in the military that want to move up, they just stay in and they just keep, trying to do little things here and there. But he wanted to get fast tracked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
So in May of 2010, Sam was on the verge of 27 years old and had seemingly gotten his life on track. With a lot of help from the military. He and his father were best friends. His father, former military Marine, they had a lot in common. They also each had tattoos commemorating their service to their country and regularly worked out together. And him and his father lived less than half an hour away from each other, with Sammy residing in palm tree-laden apartment complex in the town of Costa Mesa. This case is called the Costa Mesa Murders for this reason. This is where this whole story takes place. And Sam and his father working out in this area, living close to each other. Here at this apartment complex, he would swim and hang out in the hot tub and make new friends. Just enjoying, his time out of the military before he went back in. I wonder how much of it was, he wrapped up his duty or however many years he signed for and didn't plan to necessarily sign back up with the military. I think this happens a lot too, where you get out and then you're like kind of miss the structure and the system of the military. Maybe it was catered to him and maybe he was just like, I think I like life in there better, and decided he's going to go back at a certain point.
Yeah, I think he did like a standard 4 years and then got discharged and then started and then here we are. This is where we are in the timeline. So yeah, and at this point in his life, he was more focused than ever, talking about marrying Katharina, the girl he'd met when stationed in Germany with the 173rd Airborne, and attending classes at Orange Coast College, where I mentioned, in case he decided to re-enlist as an officer. In the Army, he'd made a lot of friends as well that he had a group chat with, and this group that they had was referred to as the Knuckleheads, and they were basically constantly messaging and keeping in touch. But while attending, this is where the story gets going, is while attending Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa, Sam met 23-year-old Julie Kabishi, who they met each other in anthropology class, and the two became fast friends. They just hit it off for whatever reason, and not in like a sexual way, just like really good friends. Right. And he needed a tutor as well. Yeah. So they got close after she agreed. Julie agreed to tutor Sam for their anthropology class that they shared, and they started spending a lot of time together. Sam even described Julie to his father as his kid sister. So she was a few years younger. Let's talk about Julie. This is one of the second character we're going to mention in this out of three. Julie was a bubbly dancer from Irvine who loved music and fashion. She was born on February 14th, Valentine's Day in 1987, and shares a birthday with a notable figure from history, Frederick Douglass. You want to talk a little bit about Frederick Douglass? He had some books. I think I even read one of his books on Audible. Fascinating to hear, about like his time as a slave and breaking free from that. Oh my God. Yeah. He's interesting. Revolutionary. There was also some other birthdays on February 14th. I'm surprised you missed. Oh yeah. Freddie Highmore from Bates Motel. You know, the lead actor in Bates Motel. Nope. The kid. Oh my God. Amazing. I love Psycho. The original Psycho is one of my favorite horror films, but I never watched Bates Motel. He plays Norman Bates. He's fucking amazing. Okay. And then Simon Pegg from your favorite movie, fucking Shaun of the Simon Dead. Pegg? Oh, how did I miss that? Pegg, He's one of my favorite dudes ever. I literally have. I know. If you've seen some of the videos we record, I have a fucking Simon Pegg dedicated T-shirt. Like, from the three films that he's famous for. That's why I was surprised. I'm not even done yet. Hold on. Denai Guerrara. I might be mispronouncing her name, but anyway, she's Michonne on The Walking Dead. I was never really big on The Walking Dead. I watched I loved the first 2 or 3 seasons, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too corny. Okay, what about Jimmy Hoffa? Was she the one with the sword or what? Yeah, she's got the samurai sword. Yeah. What about Jimmy Hoffa, bro? Jimmy Hoffa. Oh shit. Okay. Also, Jim Jeffries. Maybe about the surface in one of the barrels at the lake that's drying out. Right? There's so many, man. Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. Yeah, I could do without him. I guess they had some good hits in the 90s. I don't know. Oh, and I know you know this guy, Teller from Penn and Teller. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. He's a weirdo. Yeah. And Drew Bledsoe. Okay, I'm done. Holy shit, man. What a group. Dang. I know. Dang. I was so surprised that you didn't have these guys. Right? And these ladies. Yeah, what a crew, man. What a crew. I'll take Simon Pegg out of that group. And Kristen's like, what the fuck? Stop naming people. I'm tired of putting pictures on the screen. Yeah, right. Let me see who else I can find. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, right. Well, most importantly on it for this date, for our story here, was Julie Kobishi. Was born on February 14th, 1987. Same year as me, 1987. Oh, right on. She was 23 years old in 2010 when this story takes place, and anyone who knew Julie described her as kind and full of life. She really did seem to be a special person that you can see just by her behavior with Sam. You know, getting to meet him a little bit through class, and like more than willing to, with this story, the direction it heads, for her to drop what she's doing in the middle of the night and go help Sam when she thought he needed it. Obviously, that's not the way it played out, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Right. One of her instructors at Orange County School of Arts said she was beautiful, graceful, dynamic, strong, and emotional.
and that was her jazz instructor, Cindy, from that school.
Okay.
She also says, Julie's kindness was immeasurable. Everybody loved Julie. She was compassionate and warm and talented and very, very fun to watch on stage.
She seems like somebody who had a hard time saying no. You know what I'm saying? Like when somebody asked something of Julie, she was going to be there for you.
Yeah.
If you needed her, she was going to pick you up here or help you with your anthropology or whatever, anthropology. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she was probably somebody who was spread pretty thin among her friends with this type of personality.
Yeah, there's more quotes about her. If a friend asked her to pick them up at the LAX airport in the middle of the night, she'd get them. One time I got mad at her. Why are you going now? It's 10 o'clock, she said, but they need a ride. That's the kind of person she was. So I think that was her mother talking about her.
Okay.
And in the eyes of her mother, June Kobishi, Julie was nothing but perfect. Quote, I'm just so proud that she grew up to be a very kind and very honest and very caring, loved to take care of other people. And while at Orange County School of Arts, she excelled in dance. Later, she enrolled at Orange County College to study fashion design. So she probably was going to niche out a successful life in Hollywood in some regard, whether she was a performer or someone helping the performers get ready, with her fashion experience and whatnot.
Right.
And it was at Orange Coast College that she met, an Army veteran who had just returned from Afghanistan, an older classmate who asked for help for studying, and that was Sam Herr, who we've already talked about.
Right.
And obviously, you can tell by the way we're talking about Julie in past tense that something tragic happened to her. And so let's dive into that. And this story really gets going here. On May 22nd, 2010, Sam's father, Steve, became concerned when he couldn't reach his son all day, which we talked about how close their relationship was, talking every day, living, a half a mile away from each other and working out all the time.
Right.
And we have a quote from Steve and what he was thinking at this time. He says, Sam was supposed to come to our house for the weekend, and throughout the day I was calling his phone, but the phone was just off, and Sam never turned his phone off. So the more I called, the more I became concerned. And this is when Steve drove to Sam's Costa Mesa apartment and let himself in with a key. Once inside the apartment, he discovered a gruesome scene. Steve would find Julie Kilbishi's body lying face down on Sam's bed with some of her clothes ripped off and a gunshot wound to her head. Shocking discovery. Strangely also she was wearing a tiara on her sweater, and the words all yours, fuck you, were written on the back of the sweater that she was wearing.
So it looks really personal right now. This looks like
Yes.
a crime of passion, to say the least. Maybe a love triangle gone bad, something like that. I don't know.
There was no sign of a struggle, and Sam Herr had apparently disappeared. So not looking good as far as Sam is concerned. It's looking like he may have killed this girl that he knew pretty well, and then took off. Maybe he had some sort of an episode. We talked about how he had seen combat. He'd been to Afghanistan, and that's immediately what investigators are thinking, of course.
Right.
On the last night of her life, May 21st, 2010, Julie Kilbishi waved goodbye to her mother in the kitchen, explaining that she was off to visit her older brother, Taka, to discuss his up-and-coming wedding. Quote, I was cooking dinner, and I wasn't able to give her, she stares into the distance when she's saying this, a hug. And, of course, you look back and you're like, damn it, that was my opportunity. But, of course, you don't know the future, and you don't know how it's going to happen. So
Exactly. You can't hold that shit.
You can't beat yourself up about that.
No.
But, that night, Taka gave Julie a tiara to wear as a bridesmaid at his wedding. So he asked her to be a bridesmaid at his wedding. And obviously she was very excited about this. And then it's pretty dark to think that she would end up with that tiara on the next day, murdered.
Yeah, quite dark. Quite unnecessary as well by the murderer. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Quite theatrical, you could say.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Quite theatrical.
So at about 11 p.m., Julie received a text message that night, the night that she was murdered, that appeared to be from her friend Sam Herr, saying that he had some family problems and needed a shoulder to cry on. And this is what we alluded to earlier with Julie's, kindness and warmth as a friend and willingness to be there for anybody at any time. Quote, I'm going to stop by on my way home, she told her brother. Okay, Taka said, but be careful and text me when you get there. So she tells Taka, she goes out to dinner with Taka and his soon-to-be wife, and they ask her to be a bridesmaid. And from there, she's getting the messages while she's having dinner with them from Sam saying, I need you. I'm going through a hard time right now. Something happened with a family member or whatnot. And so she basically agrees to go to his apartment to be there for him. And at about midnight, Julie pulled up to the apartment complex in Costa Mesa where Sam lived. She texted her brother Taka, said, "I'm here, don't worry." So unfortunately, that kind of like created a timeline where no one's really worried about her. They know where she is.
Yep. That kind of gave him a false sense of peace there.
Yeah.
Kind of kept them off the trail.
And also, unfortunately, she didn't know that Sam Herr was already dead, and that a killer was inside Sam's apartment waiting for her and had been using Sam's phone to message her. This scene is just dark to think about. Like, it's one of those moments in time where you're like, you want to like go back and like shake her, like, don't go in there. Like, this is not good.
You know what I still can't figure out? You know, obviously we know this case and we know who this killer is, and I'm not trying to get anything, I'm not giving anything away, but like, why did he text her in the first place to come there? She wasn't going to come there. I just don't understand. I feel like her death is so unnecessary.
It's a setup. So I think his plan was to knock investigators off course here. If he only kills Sam, the investigation is far different than if he kills a girl that Sam knew and then makes Sam's body disappear. Then it looks like Sam killed her and then he's on the run and the investigation is looking for him as opposed to trying to find the real killer. They're assuming that it's Sam, you know.
Oh my God. So he just did all of this just to throw them off.
It's an elaborate plan to completely divert the investigators and make it look like Sam did it, basically setting him up.
Wow, that is fucked up. That is some narcissistic shit right there.
Yeah, very, I don't know what the word is, maniacal.
Yes, maniacal.
Yeah. So, following the shocking discovery, we're going to go back to Steve finding going to his son's apartment and finding Julie's body murdered with, you know, all the theatrics around it as well. He says, quote, "Obviously there's a dead woman in my son's apartment and he's missing. He's gone. I'm not stupid. I get it. You know, the suspicions are going to be on him."
Yeah.
And of course, by later that evening, police began investigating Sam Herr for Julie Kobishi's murder, just as the murderer wanted.
Yep.
How else could you take this? She's dead in his apartment. And of course, they're going to wrap in the military background. They're going to wrap in the fact that he saw combat, the fact that he may, and of course, they're going to say, oh, he may have had an episode of PTSD and freaked out.
Right.
So after Steve Herr called 911, police they issued an all-points bulletin for Sam Herr. And Detective Jose Morales and Lieutenant Ed Everett with the Costa Mesa Police Department believed that given Sam's military history, he knew how to use a firearm and theorized that Sam, possibly suffering from PTSD, could have snapped. They said that text messages on Julie Kobishi's phone showed Julie received a message from Sam Herr's phone at about 2:45 p.m. the day prior to her body being discovered, saying that he was helping a neighbor and then heading to his folks' house for the weekend. But 2 hours later, another text to Julie from Sam's phone read, quote, "Can you come help me tonight at midnight, alone? Very upset, need to talk." Then later, quote, "I'm hurting with some family crap. I can't be alone. No sex. Please, I'm begging as a brother." And police say, quote, "We looked at the phone and thought, okay, maybe he's drinking, using drugs, and there was an incident, and he just snapped, sexually assaulted her, and wound up killing her and then fled." Everett said, "We believed Sam Herr was our guy." Once again, I don't think the police are crazy for thinking this. This is exactly what I would be thinking as an investigator.
No,
as well.
the police did a great job on this whole investigation, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
We give a lot of shit to investigators, and you know, but this actually is they did a good job.
Absolutely.
So as detectives started digging into Sam Herr's background, they discovered he, as a teen, had previously been charged along with several others with murder, but was acquitted. This is
a crazy story.
Stuff that we when we first mentioned Sam, we mentioned how like he had gotten into some trouble as a teen, and one incident in particular was pretty bad.
Yeah, some trouble. That's an underestimate. That's an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, he was legitimately involved in a murder. So let's go through that. Back in 2002, Samuel Herr was 18 years old and was accused of taking part, along with 17 other men and women, in the stabbing and beating death of a 19-year-old childhood friend in Canyon Country. Canyon. I don't know what that is, Canyon Country or Canyon. It may be Canyon County. I don't know, but
yeah.
Basically, he got wrapped up into a gang at this time when he was a teenager. But he, luckily for him, was acquitted after a 2004 jury trial where a judge excluded highly incriminating evidence in a type of ruling some legal experts consider controversial. The Hers hired a star private defense attorney, Alex Kessel, of Encino, and Kessel's court filings described defendant Samuel Herr as an erstwhile student while unable to attend regular high school because of learning challenges and he was a regular marijuana smoker.
What's that supposed to mean?
He hung out with a small group known as the Brown Familia, but wasn't a made member.
Okay.
Maybe due to the fact that he was Caucasian. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking, right? I'm guessing this is a Hispanic group, Hispanic.
Yeah, and I think
gang.
the fact that he was Caucasian didn't hurt his case as far as getting acquitted as well. I think it was probably harder for the jury to believe that he really took part in this gang killing when he was white and everybody else was Hispanic.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that helped.
On the night of January 15th, 2002, a Brown Familia member, Victor Flores, a 19-year-old native of Mexico, was shot dead and his body dumped in a riverbed. By the next day, the Brown Familia began plotting revenge, and that's when this crazy murder takes place that Sam was a part of. They settled on a Guatemalan native, Byron Benito, who they thought was associated with the killing of Flores. Allegedly, Sam picked up Benito, drove him to an industrial park where the Brown Familia assailants awaited. According to court records, Samuel helped to select the site. Witnesses said, noting that there were no surveillance cameras in the parking lot behind a gym. So he picks the location where this dude's going to be killed as retaliation.
This makes way
He's
more
driving
sense.
as well.
This makes way more sense now.
Yeah.
The fact that they needed a white guy to lure this other gang member into safety, somebody they could trust. You know, another member of the Brown Familia couldn't just go pick up this Benito character unsuspectingly and take him somewhere. But, you know, a white guy probably could.
Once Herr arrived with Benito, court records say the assailants engaged in a rat pack attack so furious that some defendants inadvertently stabbed each other.
Jesus.
As the attack ensued, a prosecution cooperating witness, himself a defendant, said Samuel Herr didn't join in, but he and a couple others faked a fight nearby, apparently as a cover in case Benito survived. Immediately after Benito's death, sheriff's deputies learned that he was last seen with Samuel Herr. By the night after the murder, deputies identified Sam as a possible suspect staking out his home. When he drove by, saw Los Angeles County sheriff's deputies and didn't stop. Deputies tailed him going 37 and a 25, watched him turn left without making a signal and pulled him over. Later in defense motions, Kessel wrote his client was, quote, driving prudently, so deputies shouldn't have stopped him, even though he's going 12 over and didn't use a signal to turn.
Right. That's good enough for California, right?
Yeah. They call it a California stop for a reason.
That's right.
The traffic stop was a pretext to engage in a fishing expedition, Kessel argued in documents. So they just basically got him a really good lawyer that the other Brown Familia didn't have.
Right.
And he was white, they were brown. Like he got off for a few factors, but ultimately he drove this kid to his death.
Absolutely.
Knowing what was waiting for him. He definitely played a role in this shit.
Absolutely. He got a second chance at life, man. Maybe that's why he
He
turned
got a
his shit
second
around.
chance, and he made the most of it, and yeah, it definitely could have gone differently.
No doubt.
What's crazy to think about is that most likely he'd probably be alive right now had he been put in prison for this, which
Yeah, but
is crazy to think
not much
about.
of a life, though.
No, yeah, you're right. So after sheriff's deputies detained Samuel Herr, the defense argued his rights against self-incrimination were violated. His requests for an attorney were ignored. He was deprived of sleep and food, and questioning sessions went on for 12 hours, which I think, I'm sure all the other members of the gang had the same treatment. I'm sure he was not special in that regard. And during the withering interrogation, defense records say his father and an attorney were waiting outside the station, stalled providing legal assistance. It was such issues that prompted Kessel to argue the outrageous conduct by law enforcement. And when Herr's car was seized, records show fingerprints, fibers, and ashtray contents were collected along with photos of other possible evidence. Basically, I'm going on and on, but basically he got acquitted of this murder that he was involved in, that he definitely played a role in, like I said, driving this young man to his death, knowing what was waiting.
Right. Yeah.
But he ended up getting acquitted because his family could afford a good lawyer, and they picked at the police's conduct during the investigation and whatnot, picked that apart, and
Played their cards right.
So, yeah. So nearly 2 years after Herr's arrest, he remained jailed. Los Angeles County Court Judge Norman Tarl agreed, ruling incriminating evidence and statements should be excluded from the jury trial, and Sam Herr would walk free with a handful of other defendants while the remainder received major, basically life sentences. So him and a couple other people got off, and the rest got life sentences for that murder.
That's crazy. Like, the man doesn't get killed if Herr doesn't drive him there, you know? It's
Right.
like,
And he also picked the location of the murder as well.
oof. Yeah. That's a big role to play. That's a big role to play.
Yeah. About 6 months after Benito's murder, Samuel Herr was examined by Dr. Kashul Sharma, a Huntington Beach psychiatrist who for more than 20 years has diagnosed criminal defendants for the courts. And she found that he had received outpatient psychiatric care since he was 12 for bulimia and obsessive compulsive disorders, but seized medication and psychiatric care at 16. Hearst also confessed to Sharma thoughts of harming his parents, whom he also loved. The report stated, based on the exam, Sharma declared, quote, "The defendant is mentally ill and in need of continued medication and treatment." However, once he was acquitted, Samuel was able to join the U.S. Army, where he went on to thrive. While in the Army, he was known for relaxing standards to obtain recruits in the aftermath of the 2003 invasion of Iraq. An attorney familiar with the military requirements says waivers likely would have been required for her to enlist given the history.
Right.
But nonetheless, we've seen this before where they take in people and they kind of overlook things. And
Yeah.
they feel like they can fix the issues, which in Sam's case, it seems like they did a good job
And it's
of. But it can be hit or miss at times.
Absolutely. And for someone who was young and got in trouble with the law early on, this is a great way to redeem yourself, right? And this is a great way to kind of get the heat off of you for the rest of your life. We see so many criminals who go into the military.
Go and get some medals in the military. You see combat.
Yeah, and then all is forgiven.
You recruit other young men who are troubled, you know.
All is forgiven, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he joined in 2006 and was honorably discharged in 2009. While in the Army, he was a mechanic who served on the front lines, becoming, quote, "a decorated combat veteran." His father said, quote, "He loved to travel. He was thinking of going back in the Army." Now let's go back to 2010 when this whole thing went down. Following his son's disappearance and finding a young woman murdered in his apartment, Steve Herr began conducting an investigation of his own. And that whole thing we just went through, of course, the police, after finding Julie's body in Sam's apartment, they're looking back at his background and they're going, look, he's already been involved in a murder before. He had this psychiatric evaluation that looks like he was potentially a violent and troubled young man before he went into the military, and maybe some of those stuck around, and maybe some of that was brought back with some of the stuff he saw overseas. And so, of course, they're linking all this together, and they're absolutely thinking Sam did this, and they're thinking, we have to find this guy now because he's dangerous, not knowing that he's already dead. And
still, even at this point, you still have to give credit to the police. Like, they're doing a great job. Who wouldn't think this? There's a True Crime Daily special on YouTube, and if you watch it, the way they lay the whole thing out, it's like you think Sam did this until halfway through the episode. I mean, and there's there's no reason not to. It's crazy. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, but that's why I like this story, and like I feel like we could do it because it has been done a lot elsewhere, but I like to tell stories a little differently and in a different chronological order and all that. So like we're telling it in a way that we already know that he's dead, and yet you're still like looking at what the police were doing, what they were thinking at the time, and it creates this interesting dichotomy.
Absolutely.
So following his son's disappearance and Julie's death in the apartment, Steve shared a bank account with his son and realized that there had been multiple withdrawals made from ATMs in Long Beach, California, some 20 miles away in the days since his son's disappearance. Once again, makes sense. If he is on the run, he's using his card. He's got to have money to be able to go here and there, stay at hotels or whatever. Police discovered this information as well, but when the bank sent them footage of the ATM cameras, they couldn't believe who they were seeing. It was not Sam. No one recognized this individual. So this throws a monkey wrench into this whole issue, the whole case here. Of course, the police were guaranteed they were thinking this was going to be Sam on the ATM footage.
You know what I thought? I thought, well, maybe Sam was smart enough to pay someone else to get some money out for him. That's what I thought. I mean, because using your credit card in general, if you're on the run, is not smart. I mean, I feel like everyone past 19, anything in the new millennium, you got to know that. You know what I'm saying? Like they're tracking that shit. Even through the 80s, they were checking. They were tracking credit card transactions and shit. I feel like they would be well aware of that. So when this came up, this shocked the shit out of me. I'm like, okay, maybe just, maybe it's a friend of Sam's who was doing him a favor or something like that.
Yeah, so police say that Sam Herr's credit card activity showed 4 ATM withdrawals and a pizza delivery in Long Beach, and the person showing up on the ATM cameras was a teenager no one could identify. So when the police learned of a second pizza delivery, they thought Sam had found they thought that they had found Sam Herr's hideout, and he's just getting pizzas delivered there,
That
which
would be
is not a very smart way to hide
That
out.
would be so stupid. Not only did he get one pizza,
Yeah,
he got
seriously.
two. Like,
Yeah, you just truly don't care about getting found
No,
at that point if that's
exactly.
what's going on. So on May 26, 2010, police raided the house of the mystery teenager that had been seen on the ATMs. They stormed the house hoping to find Sam Herr, but instead found a 16-year-old zit-faced kid named Wesley Freelich, along with some of his friends. I can imagine them just sitting around playing
Like,
Call of
what
Duty
the
or
fuck?
something. Right. And then like SWAT teams stormed
Yeah.
the house. Well, bro, you were using an ATM card involved
I know,
in a murder, and later we would find out a double homicide. Actually,
seriously, just using someone else's ATM card and then linking it to your very own address is stupid.
yeah, not wise there, kid. But he was
That's true.
16 and
That's
dumb.
true.
What are you gonna do? So police quickly figured out that Freelich was not involved in Julie's murder, but they did find Sam Herr's ATM card in his possession. Quote, I immediately told them everything. This is what happened, Freelich said. Support for True Crime Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code CREEPER at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 8 million balls. I gotta admit, there was a time before I discovered Manscaped, and I would use other trimmers, and it was not pretty. It was a bit like a horror scene down there. But the Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, it's a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 400K LED spotlight when you need a more precise shave. Because this trimmer is waterproof, you can say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor as well. Their Crop Preserver ball deodorant and Crop Reviver ball toner will change the way you approach your hygiene routine. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort in boxers to another level. It's time to take care of yourself, so go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CREEPER. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code CREEPER. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. So the teen told police that a man named Dan Wozniak, an older guy that his mother had met in community theater, had given him Sam Herr's card and had asked him to make withdrawals. Freelich said Wozniak told him that he was a bail bondsman and they needed to collect the money that Sam owed. Quote, he had an actual folder of paperwork saying that it was legal, and since I was a minor, I can't be charged. If it was legal, then why is he even bothering to say that you can't be charged because you're a
Right.
minor if it's legal? You know what I'm saying? You just literally
It's one or the
contradicting
other.
yourself.
Yeah. But he had a
And then
paper.
he
He
also
had
says-
paperwork though, Lauren. So like I've said it before.
Yeah, so
if you're
it's
a
all
white
real.
guy with a polo and you got a clipboard, you can go wherever the hell you want.
A paper.
I'm serious.
Yeah, if you got a manila
Yeah.
folder with some fucking
Yeah,
shit you
put on a
typed up.
decent shirt and some khakis and a clipboard. You can go wherever the fuck you want, man. You're good to go.
Yeah. He also says, quote, and that's when he pulled out the ATM card and gave me the instructions to withdraw the full amount and make sure I wore a hat and glasses. Yeah, so it's so legal, but yeah, you have to wear a disguise to go get the money.
But don't worry about it. It's totally legal.
Come on, kid. Come on, kid.
Right?
In all, $1,900 was taken from Herr's bank account. After talking with Wesley Freelich, detectives called community theater actor Daniel Wozniak and asked him to come in for questioning. And that's where
Here
we
we
go
go.
into the actor in this case, the theatrical Daniel Wozniak, the center point of this case, the third character that we kind of talked about in this movie that is this case. And the reason that crime scene was so theatrical with the tiara and the writing on the sweater was because this guy's a fucking nut job.
Yep.
And so let's go into Daniel Patrick Wozniak, who was born on March 23rd, 1984, shares a birthday with Randall Park, who was Kim Jong in the
my
interview.
God.
Great actor.
In the Seth Rogen
comedian.
movie, the interview?
He was awesome in that movie. Yeah. Randall Park. He's been in some other stuff too, man. He's
that
always, he
movie
always
was
kills it.
crazy. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it until they
yeah.
got into that control room, and then there's that one scene, dude, where it's just like goes off the rails. I'm like, what the fuck is this? If you haven't seen the interview, I don't want to spoil it for you, but like that movie gets crazy, as you would expect from a Seth Rogen flick.
Right. He also shares a birthday with Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan. Nice. A legend.
Shaka Khan. Yeah. So back to Wozniak, though. Daniel Wozniak was a well-known community theater actor. He was a 2002 graduate of Los Alamitos High School and played Captain Von Trapp in The Sound of Music at the Orange County Children's Theater, where the director said he was, quote, wonderful with children. Yeah. He also performed in The Music Man and Charlie's Aunt and Arsenic and Old Lace with Southeast Civic Light Opera, where the director called him, quote, well-spoken, the life of the party, the center of attention. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could say that.
I could see that as well. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, he was good at fooling people and making them believe
he was an
a
actor.
good dude.
So,
yeah. So he was soon to star in the musical Nine at the Hunger Arts Theater Company in Fullerton when his name came up in this investigation. So he was preparing for this big role in this next musical. He would be the leading man and planned to marry his co-star Rachel Mae Buffett in real life, a former Disney princess, on May 28th, 2010, in an elaborate beachside wedding and reception. So he was going to be starring in this musical alongside the woman that he was about to marry. He had a lot going on, and that's why I'm saying like this whole thing was so fucking unnecessary. He needed some money. I get that, but like, dude, take a loan out. So, there's other ways to get some money other than killing two people.
He must not have had very much faith in his acting ability either, right? I mean, I don't know what theater actors make. Apparently nothing. And then I would imagine the cost of living in California. I mean, God, they're
yeah. And then you have this big elaborate wedding. You know, this type of guy is not going to have some drive-through wedding or some small little elope type of thing. It's got to be a big deal, and that's why he needed money.
This
fast.
was going to be a big outdoor shindig, probably in Southern California. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So his name comes up in this investigation. Obviously, he's the one who gave the guy who police think murdered a woman's ATM card to a 16-year-old. And this shit's getting a little crazy now for investigators. Like, what is going on? But this guy's name came up. He gave this card of this guy who may have murdered someone to a young kid. And so they need to talk to this Wozniak character. And they contact him, but Wozniak tells Lieutenant Ed Everett that he couldn't come in for questioning because he was on his way to his bachelor party with his wedding only 2 days away. So instead, officers decided to make a surprise appearance at his bachelor party, which I love. I love that they crashed his bachelor
party. They're like,
party.
where is that exactly? Oh, okay, nice. That's a nice place.
Right.
We'll see you there. What?
Yeah, I guess so. We'll have to talk to you afterwards, okay? Like, yeah, so Wozniak and his party there had just paid the bill when police officers swarmed into the Tsunami Sushi restaurant in Huntington Beach and told Wozniak that he'd be coming with them and hauled him away in handcuffs. And so this is on May 26, 2010. Late into the evening, police bring Daniel Wozniak in for questioning, and this is quite an interesting series of events in this interrogation room that go on. You see the many sides of an actor here trying to fool police. The whole thing you can watch on YouTube, and I'm sure you played some clips from it in the intro. So we'll just kind of go over the cliff notes of this interrogation, which goes on for a while. During his first interrogation, Wozniak admitted he talked Freelich into making withdrawals for him at the ATM using Samuel Herr's card. But he told detectives that he and Herr were working on a credit card scam where Herr was supposed to report the card stolen. Then Freelich would make the withdrawals, and Herr would call the bank and ask for the money back. So he's saying that he was partnered up with Samuel Herr, who's now missing, who may have killed his girlfriend, or not his girlfriend, but his friend from school. He also told police that on the morning of Julie Kobishi's murder, Herr came to see him and said he had done something bad, quote unquote, and that Herr had killed Kobishi. Ooh. So he's pointing the finger directly at Sam, who the police already think did it. And at this point, they still see Wozniak as kind of an ancillary character here, someone that's like they want to get more information from him because they're trying to get Sam. They don't really look at him as being involved in this murder necessarily.
But they do know that he knows more.
Until Sam gives himself away.
Yeah.
In a bit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They definitely know that he knows more. But when police say that they needed a DNA sample from Wozniak to rule him out as a suspect, he admitted to being in Her's apartment the day of the murder. And this is when police start to get a little suspicious as far as him being involved in the murder. When as soon as he gives the DNA sample, lets him swab, but then his behavior changes immediately. And he starts admitting to shit like, well, I was in the apartment. He's trying to now explain why his DNA might be in that apartment.
Yep.
And eventually he cracks and even says, quote, yes, I saw the goddamn body. Is that what you want to hear?
They're like, nope.
And he tells detectives that he, quote, saw 2 gunshots in her head.
Ooh.
And this is when police were like, okay, this fucker was definitely there for the murder, if not did it, because the 2 gunshot holes, they were very hard to see. The police only thought that there was one initially because she had a lot of hair. She had really dark hair as well. And it was hard to see this little bullet hole in her head. And so how would he know that there was 2? There was not something that if you just saw because Sam showed you that you would see those 2 bullet holes very easily.
Exactly.
So this was a major red flag for detectives because they had only noticed 1 gunshot wound in Julie's head, not 2, which to them meant that Wozniak had to have been there when she was killed. And during the autopsy of Julie Kilbishi's body, a second gunshot was in fact found. Quote, his story kept changing, Lieutenant Everett said. I think he thought that his acting ability was going to carry him through this performance, so to speak, but he wasn't doing it. This was not the performance of his life, you could say.
Under a lot of pressure, though. Under a lot of pressure, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't think he wasn't
high pressure acting here. This isn't the children's museum play.
He thought
here.
this was going to be easy, right? Fooling a couple of dumb detectives, how hard could it be? He plays characters all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So from jail, he called his fiancée, Rachel Buffett, and their conversations were recorded. And on one recording, Buffett revealed that Wozniak's brother, Tim Wozniak, had a backpack full of incriminating evidence, including the murder weapon. She is very suspicious of her fiancé here and is like, dude, I have to give you up. You can't, you were involved in this, in killing this young girl. What the fuck? He's basically begging her on the phone not to tell detectives. And he said in the phone call, quote, then I'm doomed. So he's giving himself away on this recorded phone call as well.
Yeah, he didn't actually admit to anything, but pretty much. He admitted that he knows more and that he's involved.
Yeah. Police know. They just have to press a little harder at this point. They know they got him. So after his initial interrogation and the phone call with his fiancée, Daniel Wozniak talked to detectives again, and this time admitted not only to killing Julie Kilbishi, but also to killing Samuel Herr, who had been missing this whole time, and police assumed for a while that he had done the murder of Julie. So he says, quote, I'm crazy and I did it. And they're like, did what? And that's when he says, I killed Julie and I killed Sam. And they're caught off guard by that because they don't even know Sam's dead at this point. Wozniak then went on to explain that Samuel Herr had told him that he had saved $62,000, and in trusting his neighbor, they were neighbors in the apartment complex. That's how they knew each other, and in trusting Wozniak with this knowledge, that was a fatal mistake for Samuel Herr. Unfortunately, this psycho telling him you had all this money in a time where he needs money because he's got this wedding coming up.
Dude, the older I get, man, the more I realize you do not talk about money. Just don't do it. Like if you wanna ask someone some investment advice or whatnot, this or that, whatever. But like personally, I don't talk about money with nobody, not even family anymore. Yeah. Like it only
you don't
leads
have
to
anything
problems.
to gain from it.
It really does.
There's no good.
You have nothing to gain from it.
There's a lot of bad that could come from it.
Exactly. People get different perceptions of you, and then they, if they feel like you have enough money, then they feel like, oh, you don't need any help. They don't need my help. He could pay somebody or this or that or whatever. It's just nothing ever good comes from discussing your finances with friends or family. It just doesn't.
Especially strangers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not that they were necessarily strangers. They were kind of friends that hung out. They were neighbors at the apartment complex and they hung out and whatnot. But clearly, Sam Herr did not know Daniel Wozniak as well as he thought he did. So
apparently not.
Authorities say that Daniel Wozniak, who had no job, no money, was about to be evicted and was getting married soon and needed money. Clearly, he saw killing Sam Herr and stealing his money as his way out. Quote, quote, this is his latest scam in a lifetime of dodgy scams, said Senior Deputy DA Matt Murphy. Quote, so in Daniel Wozniak's world, this was no problem in his mind, murdering 2 people so he can go on a honeymoon.
Damn, when you put it like that.
Well, he's the star in his own play that is his life, and this is just the scene that needs to happen so he can go on to the next scene, I think. So on May 21st,
Absolutely.
2010, damn, I think that was a year before my wedding. That was my anniversary is May 21st, 2011 was when my wife and I got married. This was exactly a year before my wedding.
Okay.
So on May 21st, 2010, Wozniak, quote, lured Sam into an attic in the Los Alamitos Joint Forces Base. There, he shot him twice in the head and took his phone and wallet. Reports suggest that Wozniak beheaded her and then left different body parts at El Dorado Nature Center in Long Beach. So part of his whole scheme that he hatched here to make Sam look guilty of killing Julie was that he had to get rid of Sam's body so that the police couldn't find it. So they assume that he's on the lam running after killing Julie. So he's scattering body parts and whatnot, which I don't think that's the best way to necessarily get rid of someone's body and not have the police find it, is to put body parts in different, you're now like
I don't get that
spreading it
either.
out. I don't understand.
I don't
why
get
you would
that
do
either.
that.
Now this murder wasn't quite as cut and dry as it seems either. You know, I guess he only had one round in the gun, and he didn't realize it because he shot Sam.
Yeah.
Sam was still alive after the first shot to the head. Then he had to reload his gun while Sam is like pleading for help.
that's fucked up,
and
man.
this man shoots him again, bro.
Yeah. And what's even
Shoots him
dark to
again.
think about is that same night he performed with his fiance in that musical 9. So he's up there performing later after shooting a man twice in the head and beheading him. Then he's up on stage as the lead man in this musical.
Have I talked to you about the show Barry with Bill Hader?
No.
Dude, this reminds me of that so much. You need to watch that show. It's on HBO Max. I guarantee you'll love it. It's like on season 3 right now, okay? But short version is Bill Hader is a hired assassin. He's a war vet, okay?
That's an
Iraqi
odd
war vet.
choice for for a guy who'd be an assassin. Bill Hader of all people.
Well, it's kind of a dark comedy. That's why it's so perfect, right? Okay, so he was a war vet. He did some crazy shit in war. He came home. This guy picked him up. He started becoming an assassin. Well, when he goes to L.A. to do this hit on a guy who's in an acting class, he falls in love with acting. And so then he becomes like one of these local theater actors, just like this guy, just like Wozniak. And there are times where he has to kill somebody or he has to do something crazy because obviously the story gets more entwined. He's not just killing people he's unconnected to, right? But then he has to go and try to act after this, and he's just fucked up. Like, he's totally distraught. And I'm like, that's how you would be after you just had to do something this horrific if you weren't a sociopath.
Yeah, unless you're a complete sociopath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I have a feeling that
Wozniak
Wozniak was put on a great performance in this musical and probably got off on the idea that he just killed 2 people, you know.
Oh yeah, and now he's feeling like his future is financially secure, at least for a little while, right? He's thinking, well, I got $60-something thousand. Now I get to get married. I'm going to have a nice honeymoon. I'm going to have the Hollywood style life for a little while at least. Yeah, he's feeling like things are great, man. He's insane.
So he killed Julie hours after killing Sam Herr. Police said after he lured her to Herr's apartment by using Herr's cell phone to text her, pretending to be him. Julie was basically killed just to cover up the killing of Sam, police now theorized. And armed with this new information, police began searching for Sam Herr's body. When they found his head, it was his birthday. He would have been 27 years old, which is just, it's crazy, some of the details about this case. They're so dark. So Daniel Wozniak spent hours lying to police about his involvement in the murder. However, his story kept changing, and at one point he told the police, I saw the goddamn body, and all of that we talked about. Eventually he confesses, brought authorities to the location of Sam's body in the El Dorado Nature Center in Long Beach. And later in court, he would be convicted on 2 counts of first-degree murder and was actually sentenced to death in September of 2016.
He deserves it.
Fuck yeah, dude. This is, he definitely did.
This is
if
as
anyone
bad as it
deserves
gets, man.
He's a candidate for the death penalty if you believe in it at all.
Yes.
I mean, there's plenty of people for good reason who believe that the death penalty shouldn't exist because if there's 1% of people are innocent, then you can't kill an innocent person, which I understand that for sure. And also that it doesn't really fix anything or whatever, but it does for some people, I think. If you're a family member of a victim of, like in this scenario, if you're Julie's dad or something like that, I think him living and
or
having
Sam's dad,
potentially carving out a decent life in prison for himself, writing fucking plays or whatever he's going to do, doesn't sit well with you when he did what he did to your daughter,
Absolutely not. And son, man. Don't forget about
Sam,
the Herr
of course.
family as well. I mean, God, his family, he was not only killed, like he was
Yeah,
He
decapitated.
was humiliated.
Yeah.
He was humiliated. His body was humiliated and
Desecrated.
destroyed.
Yeah. So
Left into a park for animals to destroy his head, and he couldn't even have an open casket, man.
yeah. So in November of 2012, Wozniak's then fiancee Rachel Buffett was arrested and charged with 3 felony counts of accessory after the fact, based on alleged allegations that she had lied on multiple times to investigators.
But didn't she come clean
That's what I'm
with all
saying.
that
Like
stuff?
when you hear the phone call, or when we hear what was said between them on the recorded phone call, like she made him confess a lot sooner than he maybe would have, because she was pushing him like, look, I'm going to give this stuff to police. Like she was not helping him. So I find it a little confusing.
I know, maybe she lied to the police before that phone call.
Yeah.
Maybe they already
Maybe.
had her in custody. I don't know. But like, God, it seemed like she came
It
clean
almost
to
seemed like
me.
she didn't really know either. Like she didn't really know until like the brother had the backpack full of incriminating evidence, and then she was like, what the fuck? It truly seemed like he was keeping her in the dark, which he's fully capable of with being the way he was.
Yeah, regardless, she still did a year in jail, I think.
She was sentenced to 32 months and was released from jail in 2019.
But she went into 2018. She went in September of 2018, so
Okay.
she didn't do the full 32 months.
Yeah. So Sam's dad, Steve, said he never wants to forget the image of his son's body, he never wants to forget, surprisingly, the image of his son's body that was stitched together at a mortuary after being dismembered and dumped in a Long Beach park. One of the hands was missing, and the 26-year-old's head was wrapped to hide the fact that it was only unrecognizable. Quote, animals got to my son's body parts in El Dorado Park. They found him. They ate flesh off of him. They urinated on my son. Wozniak would be transferred out of San Quentin prison to a lower security prison in July of 2021, angering the family members of his victims, of course. District Attorney Todd Spitzer, in letters to families of Orange County death row victims, warned that the prison's, quote, sentence inmate to transfer pilot program is open to any sentenced inmate who has no recent disciplinary problems, even those who were recently sentenced to death. When Sam's father, Steve, learned of the move, he said, quote, it was a kick in the stomach. It would have been good for them to at least warn me. If I could, I would kill him myself, but that won't happen. So I want the harshest punishment possible. Quote, it's night and day. He's going from a Motel 6 to a Regent, his father said.
No doubt. No doubt. I don't understand. I mean, unless the father's intention was to kill him himself, I don't understand why you would need to be warned. It's not like you're going to be in danger because he's going to another prison.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like this guy's an escape risk. Maybe he is. I don't know. I mean, I guess any death row inmate, right, is an escape risk. I mean, if you know you're already set to die and you just don't know when it's going to be, I mean, I guess what do you have to lose from escaping, right?
Right. I almost feel like to me, if I was a family member, I'd be the most annoyed by him being on death row in California, knowing that he's never going to actually be killed. And in death row, you get like so many benefits. You get like a bigger cell, and you get like, you don't get put in general population where you're at risk and all of that. Like, I would almost want him to be in general population, because I don't know how well he would do. I don't think those are his type of people. Like, his theatrics aren't going to work on other inmates. Like,
yeah,
you'd
you'd rather
probably
he
be
just have
getting
life.
fucked up all the time. I think.
Yeah, you say you'd rather him have life and just be in there with.
Yeah, because
with,
we've seen,
you know.
I've seen a lot of death row specials, man, and like they kind of have it made compared to the other inmates. Assuming you don't want the interaction with other people, because like some people in prison do enjoy the social interaction. They have friends and they have their own little world going on. But like, we've seen where some of these sociopaths love it because they have this massive cell. They're over there typing. They've got their TV. They've got everything they can need. I could just see him sitting in death row and just enjoying himself, writing plays and shit like that.
Oh God!
And never getting
I
killed,
hope not.
because I mean, look, Randy Kraft is still on fucking death row, and that dude was he was killing in the 70s, you know, and
He was way
captured
worse.
in what I think, if I remember right, he was like caught in the 80s, you know, so he's been
Yeah.
sitting on death row in San Quentin for like 40 years, and will never be killed. He'll die in there eventually.
God, that's so awful.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing that. I mean, God. Randy Kraft he's just as bad as Randy Kraft, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
the way he just took innocent lives too, man. The same
Had he not been
thing,
stopped,
just-
he would have definitely continued to kill, 100%.
Oh my God! If he gets away with this, imagine how that boosts
God.
his confidence.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
my God.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, how many? I don't know. I can't help but think that a lot of these narcissistic actors and aspiring actors that go to Hollywood to try to make it big, right? It's like they almost want to do crazy shit in their lives just in case they get like a movie made about them or something like that. It's like at least they can say like, this is my story. My story is crazy.
Yeah, you know what? That's something I could see him doing from death row, is writing his life story in a film.
Writing the story, taking this murder and turning it into this crazy story, you know?
Yep.
Well, at least he'll never get out, that bastard.
Yeah. You know what else will never get out as well? Stench in your armpits if you use Oh My Gaia.
Perfect. That's right. Be trapped in there forever. That stench is sitting on armpit death row.
That was the segue of the century right there, my friends.
I was wondering what you were going to do. You never cease to amaze.
I was waiting. I had one earlier, and then you kept talking. I was like, damn it, missed that one.
Right on. Well, guys, let's talk some Oh My Gaia. Oh My Gaia is an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products, and their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while maintaining effectiveness. And at Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural, paraben, and aluminum-free organic ingredients. Guys, I just emailed Wendy and got my re-up this week. I got some more Egyptian musk. I get Egyptian musk in everything. I get it in the deodorant, in the scented oil, in the beard oil. I also got some Sailor, some Barbershop. I got some True Crime Pine on hand, as usual. Guys, you really can't go wrong. Once you find, there's got to be some scents on here that you love, from vanilla,
I got some
cherry,
Fireside
almond,
in my pits right now.
Fireside, another great one. Another great one for the summer. Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, bergamot, amber, pear, sweet pea. There's tons of scents to choose from, guys. You can check them out at ohmygaia.com. And because you are True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the word Creeper, CREEPER, for 15% off your order. That's CREEPER, Creeper, for 15% off your order at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram. Or you can go to ohmygaia.com. That's OHMYGAIA.com. And guys, as well as our Tonic CBD sponsor, there is links to Oh My Gaia right below the description of this very episode, as well as the code word spelled out for you, so we make it nice and easy. Speaking of Tonic CBD, you want to talk a little bit about that?
You just hit up Brittany as well for an order of some more tonic, I see.
I did.
And that's because not all CBD products are created equal. From how it's grown and processed to how it's formulated and delivered into your body, every step of the process that goes into making the product affects your ultimate experience with it. Tonic has original formulas using CBD, adaptogens, herbs, and superfoods. Back in 2017, and has been working to deliver the most effective, intentional, and sustainable products possible. Tonic cultivates their craft-owned hemp from their certified organic farm in upstate New York. That hemp travels only 30 minutes to their state-of-the-art manufacturing and distribution facility, where it's turned into a finished product and sent to you, ensuring only the highest quality vibes at every step of the process. Their farm-to-bottle CBD plus botanical blends are uniquely formulated to provide targeted support where you need it most. Each and every high-quality ingredient is thoughtfully selected for its ability to support and enhance the benefits of CBD, resulting in a more effective, well-rounded, and consistent wellness solution for your mind and body. They have a bunch of different blends, much like Oh My Gaia has a bunch of different scents. And, you know, I use did the different blends for different times of day and things like that. I use one for morning, a different one for night. I like Grounded at night. I like to use Flex in the morning. Yeah. But also, like, they have a way to verify the product's, the quality of it as well. There's a microchip on the top of each container that you can tap with your phone, and allows you to see the third party lab reports, product information, details about their farm, and even helpful blog posts to provide you with some CBD education.
Yeah.
So with values rooted in quality, integrity, and sustainability, Tonic is committed to creating the plant-based wellness solution products that are good for the people and good for the planet. Visit tonicvibes.com to learn more and use code word Creeper, just like Oh My Gaia, to get 20% off your order. That's CREEPER, Creeper, 20% off at tonicvibes.com. Guys, it's changed my life. I love their products. It's a part of my daily routine, just like my vitamins and supplements that I take. I got to have my tonic to feel like myself.
Also, I know vapes are really popular, guys. Nicotine vapes, even THC vapes, and different things. But the reality of it is, if you don't live in a legal state, chances are you're getting fake carts. I mean, there's a really good chance you're getting fake carts. And a great way to cut back on some of that and to kind of balance that, if you have that habit where you like to hit a vape every now and then, Tonic also has CBD carts that are all organic, clean ingredients. You don't have to worry about where it came from. It came from their farm that's only 30 minutes away from their factory. And so it's like it's really helped me. As a regular smoker, like I love the vape pen. The CBD vape pens, like it just helps. It helps me stay clear. It helps with anxiety when I'm in public, and you get none of the crazy psychedelic high if that's what you're afraid of. And it's completely legal. It's completely legal and clean ingredients. So
absolutely,
you gotta love those vape carts too, man. They really help. You want me to talk about Patreon real quick while you're looking up some reviews and shout outs?
Or
you already
there
got
hasn't been that many new ones as far as I can tell.
Well, go leave us a review, guys.
Nikki Muley says, freeloading fan, been binging on TCG for the past few weeks. Thanks for always being in my ear and keeping me engaged despite my ADHD. Thank you, Nikki. Then we got Will3433 says, Creeper for life, 5 stars. Found them in March, just got done catching up. Got a binge Strange, then it'll be time to come. I think we might have mentioned that one before.
Okay.
We got Swag6782 says, Mason Lusk, absolutely gold, y'all. Listen to y'all all day. Ain't a better way to make the workday fly by than a good murder store. Keep up the good work.
Right on.
God bless. Thank you. And then we got DJ W Shady says fire, 5 stars and 2 fire emojis. Thank you. If you guys want to leave a review and get a shout out and you don't really want to write anything, all you got to do is throw some fire emojis in there. You have to put something in the comments so that we can see your name to give you a shout out. If you just do 5 stars, that's cool too, but you don't get a shout out for doing that.
Right. Also, another great place to rate is on Spotify. If you guys are listening on Spotify, Spotify now has an option where you can rate podcast. If you guys could take just a second to just click 5 stars, we'd appreciate that very much. It can help us get featured on Spotify under true crime, up and coming true crime podcast categories, and we'll be recommended to other listeners.
And also check this episode out on YouTube and watch us do the show with pictures popping up and a whole production behind it. And subscribe and like on YouTube, man. We're trying to get that YouTube page going, so check that out. There's a lot more work to doing that. We're trying to build up the YouTube channel. It's a different experience watching the show as opposed to listening to it.
No doubt.
Either way, no matter how you consume our content, we're appreciative. But definitely... if you don't even plan on watching the YouTube videos, if you have a YouTube, go and subscribe just to help us out there if you can. Yeah,
we appreciate that very much. Every free episode, guys, every free episode that's released on the free platforms is going to be on YouTube as well.
If you're a patron member, you get Just the Banter in video form as well on YouTube.
Every single week, as well as the 5-Minute Murder Show, which you just released episode 9 yesterday. Mm-hmm. So, guys, that's patreon.com/true crime, guys. Just like the YouTube channel and our Spotify, there is links below. You can click the Everything True Crime Guys link, the link tree, and you'll see links to every single thing that we have to offer. But patreon.com/true crime, guys, by far is the greatest deal that we have out there. For $5 a month, you guys get access to everything we create. I'm looking back right now through some of the things that we released. All right, let's go back. Let's go back a week ago. So last Saturday, Lauren released 5-Minute Murder Show number 8, and then May 16th, Strange Shorts 81, May 18th, Higher Thoughts, May 19th, JTB 79, May 20th, Sandu Stories, May 21st, Just the Banter 79 with video came out, and then yesterday, May 21st as well, 5-Minute Murder Show came out. That's just in 1 week. That's 1 week. That's just 1 week.
There's a whole lot more than what you're getting on the free feed right now.
That's right.
A whole lot more.
It's a lot.
You're just seeing the tip of the iceberg if you're not a patron member. So
seriously, guys, we put a lot behind that paywall because we work hard and we want to give, we really want to give people their money's worth on that.
And we haven't even adjusted for inflation, so it's still $5, even though everything's way more expensive.
It's cheaper than a gallon of gas if you're out west.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah. Shit, cheaper than a carton of eggs at this point.
Oh, I know. God, I'm so glad I have chickens.
Glad I have chickens.
Eggs are getting crazy.
Yeah, seriously.
Eggs are getting crazy. Well, all right, guys.
All right, guys. Does that about do it?
I think that's about it, man.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Keep creeping.
Keep creeping, guys.
You hush your mouth, boy.